Welcome back to the Masters of the Universe Classics Director's Commentary. Today we're going to talk about Metron. I mean Zodac. I mean Metron. Oh yeah, just go watch the Kirby video to see what the connection is between these two characters. Alright, we're talking about Zodac. That's Zodac with a C, Z-O-D-A-C, not Zodiac, not like the star signs, but the Cosmic Enforcer, who originally was an evil character when first released in the Vintage line, but then was changed to a heroic warrior character, and then after that was changed yet again to a neutral character who isn't a good guy or a bad guy, because, yeah, I tried to find the video clip, but I couldn't find it, so I'll do the voice. What makes a man go neutral? Lust for gold? I know. Alright, I can't do as good of a Zap Brannigan as I want to do. The point is, Zodac was our neutral character. And actually, a reason for that is in the Vintage line, anyone who had the three-toed feet was a bad guy. And originally, the first 6 figures, or the first 8 figures when they were made, including Tila with a different body, the idea was to have an even amount of good versus bad. And that's why Zodac was called a bad guy, because he had the 3-pronged feet. Because, is that racist to say, like, bad guys have 3-pronged feet? Oh, we'll get into racist issues later with this video. Don't you worry about that. But he was shared parts. And so that was why he got bumped up in the MOTUC Classics line, even though he wasn't a huge figure in the Vintage line. He was going to be paired with Man-at-Arms for the last of those 2-packs that we had planned, and it was purely because of the shared parts. Because he was easy to do, he shared the same, legs and arms, etc. Merman, although he was more popular, had more new parts needed, at least especially the way the Horsemen wanted to do him. So that's why Merman got pushed off, even though he got released first, which is, yeah, that's craziness all on its own. Go watch the Merman video. So when we're doing Zodac, the idea was, well, which Zodac do we do? Do we do Zodac with a C or Zodac with a K? Well, there's kind of a lot of Zodacs out there now, a lot of Cosmic Enforcers. It's like they keep adding one every single year. I don't know. It's crazy. But really, this was Classics. And even though he was reinvented for the 2000X line, we decided to focus on the true Vintage version, which was Zodac with a C. And a big part of that, as I explained in sort of the rollout and bio videos, is we wanted to make as many toys as possible in the line. So the idea of doing Zodac with a K and Zodac with a C as 2 different characters made sense because not only did they visually look different, but they had different roles. One was a Cosmic Enforcer, and one was a guy who was like a Mystic Enforcer who battled King Hiss, and his eyes lit up, and he had these, really cool badass tattoos and stuff like that. So the fact that they acted different and had different spellings of their name was enough justification to make them different toys. But it made sense to focus on, I guess call it the Caucasian version with 3 toes and a hairy chest first, because that was the one in the Vintage line, and that's what Classics was all about. And I mean, after all, we wanted to make as many toys as humanly possible, because everyone needs as many possible toys of the same thing as humanly possible, right? Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Just make more toys than society needs. With that all behind us, we were on to Zodac with a C. He was our Cosmic Enforcer. He had shared parts. He used Stratos' hairy chest. He used Skeletor's 3-pronged feet, which, again, originally made him a bad guy, but then they decided to make him neutral. Okay, I won't do my Zap Brannigan again. But I should address very briefly why he was changed to African American, or African Eternian. I don't even know what the proper term is. All of the social justice warriors are going to have my head on a pike, especially after that doll versus action figure video I posted. And is the idea of making a character a different race, isn't that racist itself? Or the idea of having a token member of a race, isn't that racist? I don't know. I mean, characters have their races changed in pop culture a lot, especially lately, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it actually makes a lot of sense. Other times, maybe not so much. But it seems to be the thing that's been happening for the last 20 years, that characters get their race changed to diversify. And originally the plan was to make Stratos a African-American, Eternian-American, black. I don't know what to say. I'm going to get hounded by the social justice warriors. But let's just say when they were working on the designs for Stratos for the 2000X series, and they were going to make him the black character on the show, the designs were not working out the way they wanted it to. And they really had to scratch their heads and think, okay, well, if we're not going to make Stratos into the African American character, what other characters do we have? And they also looked at Beastman and making him an African American. But let's just say both of those ideas, they were racist. They just weren't working out at all. I've seen the designs; they look horrible, and I'm so glad they didn't do them. So they dropped the Beastman and they dropped the Stratos ideas. Those were just put in the junkyard. Forget it. We're not going in that direction. And instead, in order to do an African American, Etonian American, I don't even know. I'm going to stop it with this. The point is they made Zodac a black character in the 2000X series. They redid him. They turned him into, this like mystic enforcer with a staff and tattoos. And yeah, that's basically why. They wanted to diversify the cast. And that was the rationale behind it. He was the character that worked the best art-wise when they translated it. Other characters just didn't translate from an art standpoint and didn't look right. So that meant there were two Zodacs, Zodac with a C and Zodac with a K. And again, they visually looked different. But we had a trick up our sleeves. It's not a simple trick. It's just a simple trick. All right, I can't do my Simpsons either. But the way we were going to be able to do both characters very easily was with a little bit of a tooling trick. And this is something we pulled off later with Tila as well. So what we did is we tooled Zodac with a K, his staff, with Zodac with a C. So when we tooled up the necessary parts to make Zodac with a C, his gun, his head, his armor, etc., we tooled the staff at the same time in the same mold. Because again, those molds are incredibly expensive. So by doing this and having the staff as a piece that was already available, we were able to do Zodac with a K later on. It wasn't that much later, but essentially as a free repaint. There were no new parts needed. And honestly, this was kind of ingenious to do it this way. I wish we did that more often. So, not much to say about his bio. A lot of people, gave me stuff about naming him Zodac Zur and said that this was like a Green Lantern reference because of Abin Sur. And honestly, there were enough Green Lantern similarities as is. I didn't need to make up more. I kind of wish I did a different name. It was not meant to be an Abin Sur reference, but, hey, it happens. Maybe it was subconscious. I'm not the person to design figures. Okay, well, I did design one figure, but I was not part of the design process, shall we say, with most of the figures. But with Zodac, I did get to do my very first part of design work. Going above and beyond, doing marketing and doing copy and doing the overall brand development. And that was, ready for it, I was responsible for the silver on Zodac's gun. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, I was really proud of that. Yeah, I was pretty proud of that. It was really the first, and there weren't that many times where I actually got to have a direct design influence on the figure. The Horseman didn't do that deco. I asked for it. And the reason is I felt that the vintage figures sort of would have had more deco. Much like Classics was an idealized version, so in my mind, if the budget was there back in the day, there would have been that deco on the gun. And so I was kind of restoring the imaginary deco that never existed. I know, that's crazy. I don't know how my brain works, but somehow in my mind, the idea of having that little circle of paint on the gun was a big deal, and it made the new figure kind of live up to the full potential that Classics could be. That it was sort of taking the vintage figure and really, taking it to the next level. It was a little tiny thing. It was a circle of silver paint, but hey, I was responsible for it, and hey, that made me a happy toy maker. All right, so whether you think he's Metron or not, that was Zodac, and he was in the line. Pretty cool.